Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Palma Yacht Crew Vlogs right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and today I am joined by Maria Karlsson. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, Ria. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Now, you are based out of Florida, and you work for Superyacht Insurance Group. Now,
Yes,
right now, this must be a very, very busy time for you.
that certainly is. Yes, I just want to say a little bit about what we do here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at Superyacht Insurance Group. We've been in business since 2002. We provide insurance for the yachting industry for both crew medical plans, for groups and individuals, and also to the yachts. And we also do some travel insurance as well, even though that's not our priority. So today I'm going to talk predominantly about the crew medical and how coronavirus affects the yachting community when it comes to insurance.
Well, I mean, realistically, I think it's not just affecting the crew, it's pretty much affecting the industry as a whole.
Yes.
So it's nice to know that you guys are capable of covering all aspects of the yachting industry
Yeah.
and indeed are specialists in that, because that's an
Mm.
important thing right now in this time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of changes going on for sure with different insurance companies and their underwriting guidelines. There's new information coming up on a daily basis. So you really have to be switched on and read this and look at the different insurance companies' websites to get the latest information and speak to them too about underwriting. We get a lot of questions, of course, from both existing clients, and they're asking offshore the number one question is, are we covered? Are we covered if this happens to the crew on board? And of course, that's the most important question. So we've actually increased our business hours now during this time just to be able to tender to the increased need from the community and from the crew, both existing clients and also new clients.
Well,
Some
how
people, there's
difficult
a
it
bit of
is right
panic, of
now.
course, that
Yeah.
somebody's on a boat and they don't have coverage right now, and now is the time to really do it. In some cases, it's actually too late because some of the insurance companies have, I just saw a list today. It's a hot zone country list where, if you're an applicant today and you fill out the form, and you're going to go to, let's say, Italy, for instance, because they are now on this country list, then you're not going to get the coverage. You're not going to get insured. They're
So
not
what is that
only,
called? That's like war zone countries, right? That's the sort
yeah,
of same concept
exactly.
applied to
It's
war
kind of
zones.
becoming like that. And
Yeah.
as it stands today, this list has a lot. It's probably 20, 25 countries. However, Italy is, in my opinion, the only one or the main one that the yachting industry should be concerned about, because a lot of boats, of course, go there. A lot of crew are, in the Mediterranean area. Spain is not on this list yet. And I just want to clarify that this list is just one of the carriers that I sell for their list. So, and this could change too on an ongoing basis. So I just read this morning, so I guess it's hot off the press. But
Well, I
there
mean,
could
I
be
guess that's the
changes.
way it is, right?
Yeah,
Straight
and
across
I
the
will
board right now. We don't know what's going. I mean, right now in Florida, for
exactly.
example, you guys are locked down as an entire state tonight, correct?
Yes, that's correct. At midnight. So everybody have to be staying home and keeping the social distance, of course, of 6 feet, and only essential businesses are open. And yeah, so there's a lot of changes, but I'm really fortunate that I can be working and still conducting business from my home and get everything taken care of that needs to be taken care of. The only thing I cannot do, of course, is go to and visit the yachts and visit the crew and do presentations on the boat or even face-to-face presentations talking about insurance and what they need and what have you. But we can do this with today's technology. We're fortunate, so we can do it over the phone or via email or what have you. So there's
Well, you could
ways
even do a
to do.
Skype for that matter.
Exactly. Now I'm
Yeah,
learning
yeah.
Skype too. Yeah.
Adding it to your repertoire.
Yeah.
So, for those crew that already have existing insurance policies,
Yes.
does it matter where they are in the world if and this is one thing that I always get really confused of with insurance policies because they're all so different and some will cover
Hmm.
you in certain things and others. But with this pandemic specifically,
Yes.
if they are, for example, in Spain or if they are in Italy and they do fall sick, are they still covered?
Well, it depends on. It actually depends on. It depends on when they signed up, if they applied to the policy prior to this pandemic starting. And then also it depends on which country. So like I just mentioned, this hot zone country list, like Spain is not on there yet. However, if somebody is in Italy and trying to get coverage, they're not going to get insurance. However, if they had coverage before and they are already in Italy now and have entered Italy before the CDC issues this travel warning level 3, then they're fine. So it all depends on each situation is different. And
That's
to complicate
scary.
matters more, it's also a difference is if you have a group plan for the entire yacht, or if you as an individual crew member have your own personal insurance, because individual insurance plans, and I can only talk about the plans that I sell. So I'm sure, there's so many insurance companies and policies out there, but my information comes, of course, from the policies and companies that I sell for. So individual plans are medically underwritten. And I guess now they're also not only medically underwritten, but they underwrite where you're going to the different countries and what have you. So I urge crew members that don't have coverage right now, so this is the time to do it. And in some cases, it's already too late.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say, because what if you don't have any insurance and you are in a hot
Yes.
spot? I mean, because I can imagine Spain isn't very far behind Italy, and right now,
Exactly. Yes.
especially with yachting, the med season is where it's at, or
Yes.
normally would be.
Yeah. So if somebody's in Spain right now, then please contact me before this list, before they're gonna add Spain to the list, because I'm sure they're coming next and be part of it. Because as it stands right now, this particular insurance company can cover them if they're applying new applicants being underwritten. They can cover them in Spain for COVID-19.
Well, how long does that period last? Because so for example, I said to you right now, I need insurance for Spain
Yes.
and I need it covered now.
Yes.
And 2 hours from the time I say I need that
Yeah.
insurance, they decide to make this a hot zone. How
Yeah.
does that work? Will I get
Well,
refused?
you better have the insurance policy been issued prior to this coming out. So once it's been issued, then you're fine. However, then it also depends on, some insurance companies, they issue policies on a daily basis. You can have an effective date any day of the month, whereas others only do it on the 1st and the 15th of the month. So now today is the 2nd of April. So pretty much we've missed the deadline to get on for April 1st. So the next time is April 15th. A lot of things could happen from now until April 15th, for sure.
Yeah, I can probably guarantee you Spain will make that hot list by the 15th of
Yeah,
April
I'm sure.
with the
But
numbers. I mean, at this rate, even
yeah, I've
at
also
this
in
rate,
the
even the
past.
States.
Yeah, sorry.
No. At this rate, even the States is going to be hitting the hot zone, the way it's going.
Exactly. Yes. So
So
that's going to be
it's
interesting to hear when United States are going to issue a hot zone on their own country. So
Yeah, that would be
yeah,
interesting. So
yeah,
would
exactly.
you advise crew to, even if they are covered under their yacht's insurance plan, would you advise crew to have their own insurance?
At this point, I don't think it's necessary, honestly. Some insurance companies, where they don't allow you to have two policies. So if you're covered under the yacht's crew medical plan, if they have a group policy on board, then you cannot have an additional individual plan on the
Okay.
side. And again, this is the companies that I work with, because one of the questions on the form is, are you covered under another plan currently? And if they put yes, then the next question is, are you going to cancel the other plan, which, you can only have one in place at the time and again, these are the policies that I sell.
What are the things that you should look to? I mean, for example, when you're joining a yacht, they've got an insurance policy, but I
Hmm.
mean, of course, we all ultimately are responsible for ourselves. So,
Yes.
what would you suggest that they look at, when they ask to see the insurance policy? What are the things that they really need to make sure are in there?
Certain plans, you can actually keep the policy after you leave the employment, whether you get fired or you leave on your own. And this is really important, because what happens? You get a job on a yacht and they offer a group insurance plan, and then you get fired or something happens, you don't feel comfortable there, you leave, and now you're without coverage again. So now what do you do in between boats? You get on another boat. So this particular company, they offer that you can actually take that policy, the group policy, on your own and carry it for up to 18 months, and you can pay for that. You can pay for that yourself. And this is a popular option for captains, of course, and they can have their family members on this policy as well. And the family members don't have to travel on the boat, of course, and they can be land-based in any country in the world.
So that's probably a really good policy then straight across the board.
Yes, it is. It is the great policy. It's also one of the most expensive ones, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, generally speaking, if it gives you those options, and especially that's the way it works though in insurance, isn't it? I mean, the better coverage, the more versatile, the safest option is usually probably going to be the most expensive.
And I also do on some of even the bigger yachts, I do an individual plan, or they have chosen that that's the best option for them. So if we have 10 crew members on a yacht and we have the individual policy in place, then this policy is not tied to the actual yacht or employment. So they can actually keep that policy. We just need to change the payment information to the crew member's personal Visa or MasterCard or however they want to pay for it. And then they can carry that on to the next boat, that's really good. And that's actually one of the reasons why a lot of the yachts do that as well, to keep that. Plus the individual plan is less expensive than the group plan with the same company normally, which sounds odd, but there are reasons for that, because the individual plan, you have to qualify medically. It's being medically underwritten. So you have to answer all these health related questions. Have you had that? Have you had this? So you have to qualify in order to get on board. Whereas the group plan, anybody gets on day one. You can actually have cancer day one and it's going to be fully covered. I've had a claim like that, a real claim where somebody actually went to the emergency room the day before the coverage started, and then was diagnosed with cancer, and then all the treatments, everything was covered day one. And that's the reason it's expensive too. But you kind of pay for what you get in a sense.
Well, I mean, essentially at the end of the day, I mean, if you're taking a look, and I think with insurance policies, especially as a yachty, I don't think the general population actually understands how dangerous yachting is. It is a very dangerous industry, and you're putting your life, every time you get on board, you're putting your life on the line. So to make sure that you have all of your bases covered wherever in the world you are, if your boat, it's like you said, you never know what's going to happen either, because you could be a South African on an American flagged boat in Italy, for example. And how are you going to take care of your healthcare needs? What happens if you have an accident? Now, who's what? What happens if you have to be medevacked? What's going to... It's really confusing and really scary as well, because a lot of these people are like 21, 22 years old.
Exactly. That's true. And first time away from home, and young people, adventurous people. And it's the industry is very complex, of course, like you just mentioned. You can be from one country traveling to another country, and the flag of the vessel. There's so many variables here. What's with the coverage with regards to Jones Act, MLC 2006. It's a little complex, the whole situation, for sure.
Which is why they need to contact somebody like you.
But I'm not a lawyer or anything, so I'm not familiar with the Jones Act per se, or I can't talk about that, but I can talk about the medical aspect of things for sure.
So if it doesn't matter where a crew member is on the face of the planet, you can help them get their insurance sorted out.
I will try. I will do my very best. I'm a broker, so I work for a lot of different insurance companies and plans, and I can definitely try and help. As I said, it's a little bit more challenging now with regards to if you're going to get coverage in certain countries and what have you. But I would say this is the kind of the last chance, because God knows where we're heading towards, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better in the near future.
Well, and that was going to be my next question. Yeah, I mean, my next question is, where is the insurance companies going to go next? Because, off air, we had the discussion that insurance companies they want to make money. I mean, it's give and take. But if we start seeing sweeping pandemics like we see with COVID, is this going to change the face of the insurance business going forward?
It could definitely streamline the whole industry in a sense where some might go out of business. If an insurance company gets overwhelmed with claims, they may not be able to handle it. That could happen.
And do you think at some stage they'll just say, look, we're not covering pandemics?
Exactly. Well, that's probably what's going to happen in the future. It's not part of the exclusions right now because this is a novel coronavirus, so it's a new coronavirus. But yes, that could definitely happen in the future where they have exclusions specifically for this, because it appears that, or they're talking about it anyway, that we could get a second or third wave of this. So this, even though this might taper off in the coming months and over the summer, it could come back in the fall. Who knows? So it could be a long ongoing process, and insurance companies are here to make money as well. Of course, they're private companies. So who knows what's going to happen?
So it could end up falling underneath that act of God type thing. You can't really protect against a tornado or,
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, it's straight across the board. I think everybody's not sure where we are going. I mean, we're all going to carry on and everything is going to get back to a new normal, but it's definitely going to be a new normal, and we are going to have to adjust. We're going to have to ask the questions that need to be answered, and we're going to have to go to the experts. I mean, there's no two ways about it. We're going to have to ask the experts.
Yes. Information is crucial in times like this, and I have to get my information, of course, from the insurance company, and having good communication with them, verbal and on the email, and then also the policyholder, the insureds, they need to get their information too, so they could contact their insurance broker or go to the website of their insurance carrier to get the latest and updated information about what's covered. Is this because each situation for the crew are so different, like depending on where they're coming from, where they're going, have they entered the country yet prior to CDC issuing the travel level 3 alert. And so there's so many variables, so it's really hard to say exactly this is how it is, and I wish it was so cut and dry in a sense where you can give firm answers. But the best way is for the crew members themselves, if they want to get insurance, to contact a broker or the insurance company and explain exactly their situation and what their needs are and where they are in the world, and then see if they can get coverage. And for the existing crew members that have insurance, it's important times now to really read up on what policy do we have. Ask the captain, or the insurance broker, or contact the insurance company and read your policy docs. If you don't have them, then you have to request them. And most importantly is the ID card, that crew members have their ID cards on them at all times, preferably in a wallet, or some of these companies offers apps that you can download on your phone. So you have at all times, provided you have a charge on your phone. And it's really important, and I think this is the time to really do it, to have it on you at all times. I just had a case actually last weekend where a crew member was in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, and where's the card? The insurance card. And it's a little bit late to kind of go look for it when you're already in an ambulance. But anyway, it all worked out, and but that's the most important thing.
Well, yeah, for sure. I can imagine. I mean, you're in a foreign country. You want to make sure that you've got your identification and you've got your medical card. I mean, those are two things that are utmost important, no matter where you are.
Yeah, because otherwise it's hard. You don't want to get a bill for $30,000 and that you have to pay and claim back afterwards. It's always easier to present the card at the time of service, and the hospital or doctor will contact the insurance company, verify your benefits, and then hopefully pay directly. So
yeah, because I mean, some hospitals won't let you leave without paying that bill, in certain places of the world. So
yes,
if you can't prove you've got insurance, then you better buck up or hope that your family will buck up and pay that bill. Yes. And then pray that you'll get it back, because sometimes you don't even know that, right? So it is wise to carry your medical card with you.
And especially in the United States too, we have one of the highest cost of medical care in the world here. So you can't, emergency room, you can barely get out of there for less than, $5,000-$10,000. It's really high here for sure. So that surprises a lot of crew, of course, crew members from countries where they offer socialized medicine, and just in shock over how healthcare is here in the United States.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm Canadian, so I do. I do understand the shock.
So it's a different country, different. So it's really important to have the coverage, whether the yacht provided for the crew or whether you have it yourself. And I still come across yachts where they don't have insurance. They don't offer insurance. They're relying on the yacht's P&I coverage, which P&I coverage for the boat, protection and indemnity, is not medical insurance. It's not. It will cover crew members when they're signed on for anything work related, when they're signed on to the vessel. But it's important. So if the boat doesn't have a group crew medical policy in place, that the crew members then seek their own and get their own policy, medical policy that covers preventative care, your physical exams, your annual checkups, prescriptions, medications, what have you. So
that isn't law that a boat has to provide for the crew.
Well, regarding the MLC 2006, it shows financial responsibility for the owner or employer towards the crew. And this is not only in the yachting industry, but also in the shipping industry. So honestly, it's in the owner employer's best interest to provide coverage for the crew, I would say.
Yeah. Well, and it's also in the crew's best interest to make sure that that's in place, because I think sometimes they become complacent and they think, okay, well, I'm just going to rock up. Everything's looked after. I've signed my contract to get on board. And they just think it's all taken care of automatically. And they don't ask the right questions.
Yes. And especially young people, because crew, like you said, they might be in their early 20s, first time away from home. And a lot of young people think they're bulletproof, that nothing is going to happen to them. They just carry on, which is a good attitude to have in a sense, like a positive outlook, adventurous life and what have you. But you have to stop and be realistic as well, that things do happen. And it is more of a high risk profession to work in yachting, and washing down the boat, hanging, off the side in a harness, hopefully. But there could be so many different scenarios here that it's good to have for sure.
Well, and does most of these insurance policies, do they cover mental health needs as well?
Yes, they do. And again, it depends on if it's the group policy, because group policies normally would cover more and right away, especially this plan that's a little bit more expensive that I touched on earlier. They would cover that right away. Whereas others might have waiting periods, could be up to 12 months. Before that's covered, so you would have to be on the plan paying for it for all that time before it's covered. Other plans to offer like telemedicine, for instance, and also for mental health, where you can talk to a counselor over the phone, which is excellent, because I'm sure a lot of things are happening on the boats where you're living in close quarters. You not only work together during the day, but you also have to get along after work is over, and there could be a lot of issues there, and possibly bullying or whatever. It could be anything, and that's really an excellent benefit to be able to call somebody and be private about it and get the help that you need.
Well, I think straight across the board over the last year and a half, we've really seen a rise in depression amongst crew. We've seen suicides increase straight across the face of the planet. And it's now become something that we need to talk about and we need to address. And I think it is very, important, and especially in today's day and age. Everyone's on isolation right now. So you can imagine that you've got young crew that have just paid everything that they possibly could pay in order to get their schooling. They've rocked up on the Mediterranean somewhere. They're in a crew house, and there is no way they're getting work right now, and their funds are dwindling. Things like that we have to be aware of. And so, even if you did have a job, because people are losing their jobs right now that were on a crew, and now they're in a crew house. So it is important to think ahead in these matters, to make sure that you've got the right insurance policy in place, that if you do, because I don't know, I think it's something like 95% of the population suffer from some sort of mental illness at one point, depression, whatever, at one point in their lives. So you have to think ahead in these stages so that you do know that you've got that coverage if indeed needed.
Definitely. Definitely. And this is increasing, of course, anxiety levels for all the crew and what's going on, or for everybody in the world. Wondering what's happening to us. And this is almost like living in a sci-fi movie in a sense. It's something that we have not experienced before. And then again, living in close quarters on a boat that might be in lockdown, or you're being quarantined on the boat. Now you're really, and having this other anxiety to think about, not only being in close quarters for extended periods of time with people you might not even get along with in a sense, or having conflicts with, or what have you. So yes, that's very important.
Yeah. Well, Maria, you know what? I would really like it if you could send me your email address and a little bit of information on the company, so that I can put that out there in case there are those out there that have watched this interview and say, oh no, or they go and check a policy and find out that they're not entirely covered the way they need to be. So that they can get a hold of you and get that coverage before Spain does make it onto that list.
Exactly, that's right.
Or France, for that matter, because France is coming up there pretty close too. I mean, the whole Mediterranean is a bit of a hot zone at the moment, and of course now that the United States is coming on board too, we've all got to be really careful. We've got to be smart, and we've got to take care of ourselves first and foremost.
Definitely. And I want to thank you too, Ria, for having me on today. And I really appreciate that. And maybe we'll do another one coming up to see how things are changing. But anyway, it's been a pleasure to be on with you today. I hope I provided some helpful information.
You have definitely provided some really good information. I think it's given people a lot to think about. So we're going to make sure that they get your information. And I would love to have you back again in a few weeks to see how things have changed.
That sounds good. All right.
Thank you. Once again, you have been watching another edition of Palma Yacht Crew Vlogs right here on Yachting International Radio. Our thanks goes out to Maria Karlsson of Superyacht Insurance Group. My name is Ria. I have been your host. We'll see you again next time.